My name is Allison, and I'm a 37-year-old remote worker. I started working from home due to living with my in-laws. I met my husband, Tony, when I was 32 and we married when I was 34. Originally, I worked at a major cosmetics company. But living with my in-laws was decided when we got married. When we started living together, my mother-in-law told me, "It's only natural for a woman to stay home, prepare meals, heat the bath, and wait for her husband to return. It's absurd for you to work and come home later than your husband. If you can't do that, we'll have to divorce." If I had known my mother-in-law was so old-fashioned, I might have reconsidered marrying. However, divorce was not an option. So I secretly continued to work from home. I couldn't quit my job and I wanted to save money for emergencies. Avoiding my mother-in-law finding out about my work has been challenging. But I'm managing. However, what breaks my heart even more is the severe mistreatment from her. Before we married, there was no harassment or unpleasant behavior. So I thought we could get along fairly well. Once we started living together, it was nothing like I had imagined. Since moving in, I have been doing all the household chores, while my mother-in-law lazes around every day. Yet, she nitpicks everything I do. The next day after moving in, I started preparing meals. "What is this? You call this soup? This can't be called soup. And the stew is too bland, and the mixed vegetables are bad. Your cooking skills are disastrous," she would say. I was shocked since I lived alone before and cooked decently. My father-in-law ate quietly, but seeing this, my husband Tony intervened. "Mom, calm down. It's not that it's too bland or bad. It's just different from your cooking. She can learn your taste over time. Besides, it's rude to speak ill of the food Allison made for us." Hearing this, my mother-in-law sulked. "Tony, you're taking Allison's side over mine." I'm disappointed. I don't intend to teach Allison how to cook at all. If you want my approval, go to a cooking school and learn by yourself. And she returned to her room during the meal. Tony tried to reassure me, "It's okay, let's just leave her be for a while. I think she's just confused. She asked us to live with her. But she doesn't know how to interact. I'll talk to her later so you don't have to worry." I decided to trust my husband and leave it to him. However, about a month after starting to live with my in-laws, my relationship with my mother-in-law remained strained. It seemed she held a grudge against Tony for scolding her about the cooking. It's all Allison's fault that I got scolded by Tony. He told me not to say horrible things afterwards. Why should I be scolded when it's Allison who made the terrible food? Even my husband thought it was Allison's fault. It's so frustrating. You will take responsibility for this. Accused of being unreasonable. The harassment escalated from there. I thought about consulting Tony again, but he was involved in a big project. And I didn't want to stress him unnecessarily. So even as the harassment escalated, I kept silent about it to Tony. Being criticized for my cooking became a daily occurrence. However, I wasn't confident, so I took my mother-in-law's words seriously and tried to use them as a learning opportunity. But to her, it seemed like I was being defiant. "I made the seasoning a bit stronger today, just as you mentioned yesterday. Would you mind tasting it?" I asked. She glared coldly and said, "Are you saying I nitpicked your cooking again? You're truly a rotten daughter-in-law." I didn't say a single thing like that. I'm not saying you nitpicked. I'm just trying to adjust it to your taste as you suggested. I tried to smooth things over, but she continued to accuse me. See, you're blaming me after all. You changed the seasoning because I mentioned it, right? That's the same as blaming me. That's why I said you're rotten. You won't admit your own faults. I'm ashamed to tell the others that you're Tony's wife. No matter what I said, it seemed useless, so I apologized to my mother-in-law, admitting I was wrong. Then she gloated. See, I knew you were at fault. By apologizing, you've admitted your wrongdoing. If you had done this from the beginning, you would still be honest and cute. Don't even think about defying me from now on. Although it was frustrating, I thought it was fine if that resolved the situation smoothly. Another day, she ordered me to tend to the garden. As I was pulling weeds, she commented, "Are you doing it properly, Allison?" "Oh no, there are still so many weeds left." "Where are you looking?" "Look, this place is still not clean at all." "Ah, I thought I'd pull out the small weeds after removing the larger ones. So I haven't done it yet." "I'll do it after I take a break," I responded. My mother-in-law sighed. "What? Are you saying that I misunderstood and got angry for no reason?" "Either way, you haven't done it yet, so it's not my fault. Also, don't talk about taking breaks. It's not even midsummer, you don't need a break. Come on, get back to it right now." I felt like rebelling. But I held back and resumed the work. On another day, I received unreasonable complaints about cleaning. I was cleaning the windows the way my grandmother taught me, using folded old newspapers dipped in water, which makes them shine. Since it's a way to utilize newspapers that would otherwise be thrown away, I always used this method for cleaning windows. However, seeing this, my mother-in-law mocked me. "Cleaning windows with newspaper? What era are you from? I never do such a thing," she said. "What if it scratches the windows?" I didn't respond but simply apologized. Then, my mother-in-law sighed again. "Are you incapable of anything but apologizing? Don't you have a will of your own?" So I expressed my opinion as she had demanded. Many people worry that cleaning with newspaper might scratch the windows. I explained. But I use the folded crease of the paper, so it doesn't scratch. Besides, it cleans better than using a regular towel. My mother-in-law's face turned red. "What, you think my knowledge is lacking? Just because you know more. Don't get too pleased with yourself," she shouted and stormed off somewhere. Whether I rebelled or expressed my will as told, I was scolded. If anyone knows what the right thing to do in such cases is, I would like them to tell me. After continuously being scolded for unreasonable things and beginning to feel mentally exhausted, I heard something from my husband. "My brother is currently on a business trip. But he's going to have a wedding when he returns," he said. "It's scheduled for the month after next. But how much should we give for the wedding gift?" "I'm not very good at this sort of thing," he confessed, so I decided to take care of the wedding gift. However, I never thought he would marry. He was so focused on work that he used to declare he didn't need a girlfriend. My husband said as he enjoyed his evening drink and talked about his brother, Jason. He was dedicated to his job and used to be transferred a lot. But he's planning to refuse transfers for a while after getting married. It should be manageable. Apparently, his fiancée understands that he's often transferred. But I hope they prioritize their time as a couple for at least a while after getting married. He said they plan to move after the wedding, so I thought I'd help out. My husband continued before falling asleep. 1 week before Jason's wedding, I was involved in a traffic accident. I had to be hospitalized for at least a week, making it impossible for me to attend the wedding. When my husband brought my in-laws to visit me, my mother-in-law sneered as my husband went to buy drinks. How could you get into a traffic accident, Allison? You must be so clumsy. You could have avoided it. Oh, it's just so stupid of you. It's such an ominous thing to happen just before your brother-in-law's wedding, she remarked. I screamed internally that I would have avoided the accident if I could and tried to calm myself down. When my husband returned, my mother-in-law suddenly changed her tone. Allison, are you really okay? Seeing you in such pain hurts my heart. If I could, I'd take your place to ease my mind. It's tough, but just try to get better soon. If there's anything I can do, just let me know. I want to help as much as I can. So don't hesitate to rely on me, she said, pretending to be a good mother-in-law. It was so obvious it almost made me laugh, but the pain was too much to bear. Even though my husband visited me daily and my mother-in-law occasionally, her visits felt more like she just couldn't wait to make sarcastic remarks. Are you still lying down? It's been 3 days, you should be healed by now. Stop acting like a victim and pretending to be injured. Because of your accident, Tony has to visit the hospital every day, which means he has less time for me. Even at home, he keeps saying he's worried and wants to check on you. Give me back my dear son, she said. Eventually, I felt it was time to cut ties with my mother-in-law, and decided to discuss this with my husband. When he came to visit, I told him everything. I've been harassed by your mother for a long time. I refrained from consulting you because you were busy with an important project. Even after the accident, she calls it a visit but keeps making sarcastic remarks. I've managed so far, but I can't endure it anymore. I want to cut ties with your mother, I said, and my husband agreed with me. Before I could tell my mother-in-law that I wanted to cut ties, something happened. My injury worsened, and my hospital stay was extended, making it impossible for me to attend the wedding. On the day of the wedding, as I was thinking about the bride and groom, my mother-in-law called. What are you thinking, not attending your brother-in-law's wedding? How heartless can you be? I don't know what you're up to, but come here right now. I explained that I couldn't come because I had already informed her that my hospitalization was extended. Furious, she snapped. You must be healed by now. You're definitely pretending to be sick. You don't want to attend the wedding, so you're using sickness as an excuse. I won't be fooled by you. I don't need such a terrible daughter-in-law anymore. Leave our family immediately, and hung up. I actually felt relieved as I had been wanting to cut ties with her. This way, I didn't have to explain why. That night, I told my husband what his mother had said and asked him to pack our things. When I was discharged, we moved out of my in-laws' house and stayed at a hotel until we found a new place. My mother-in-law didn't expect her son to leave too and looked very frustrated. Thanks to a friend, we quickly found a new home and started a new life together. After a while, my mother-in-law called. Ah, Allison, it's been a while. Are you doing well? I called today because I wanted to apologize. I deeply regret the terrible things I've said. I really regret driving you away. So, let's get along well from now on, shall we? But I felt no anger because I knew why she was contacting me. I heard you gave a generous wedding gift to Jason. Was it $5,000? It's amazing that you could give such a large amount. But hearing about it, I really reevaluated my opinion of you. So feel free to come back anytime. I used to be the head of a company, but now I work from home and trust my skilled team to handle things. I had enough savings, and I had given $5,000 as an apology for not attending the wedding and for moving expenses. Knowing this, my mother-in-law must have contacted me because she realized I had money. I firmly told her, "I have no intention of getting involved with you anymore. And I know that you contacted me because of the money," and hung up the phone. After that, she contacted me several times asking to borrow money. But I blocked her calls and made sure she couldn't reach me. Finally, I returned to work and managed to focus on my job again. My husband and I are enjoying life together, without any problems.